Good evening, everyone. My name is Jen Panarski, and I am a communications officer with the City of Kingston. And I'd like to welcome you to our virtual engagement session, where we're going to be talking about playground improvements to 2 community parks in the Rideau Heights neighborhood. There are 8 people who are registered to participate in Zoom tonight, and there are 4 people who have hi Robbie, I see you in the chat. And there's 4 people who have joined us so far, but what we're going to do is we're going to get started so that you can enjoy the sunny evening. So I'm going to go through a few housekeeping items for you to make the most of this session. So this session will be live streamed and recorded, and it's currently being including closed captioning to YouTube. To protect your privacy, attendees, your video and your microphones are turned off. And we do have the chat available for technical support questions. And sometimes technical support challenges do happen, and here are a few ways to help you navigate those. So if you are new to Zoom, there's a few ways that you can adjust your view options so that you can see both the presentation and then our project team who will be speaking this evening. You can find those underneath. Will be a couple of squares at the top right-hand corner of your screen where you can toggle to see either in a speaker view or all of our panelists. So choose the format that works best for you. We also have a lot of resources on Get Involved Kingston that will take you over to Zoom. There's lots of how-tos. If you get disconnected from Zoom and can't reconnect, I'll have you call in to the meeting where you'll still be able to participate. I'm going to read out the phone number and the webinar ID. I suggest that you keep this handy just in case. The call-in number is 1-647-558-0588, and the webinar ID is 967-4529-3113. And if you are unable to connect by Zoom, either by phone or in Zoom itself, this session, like I said, is live streamed and closed captioned on the City of Kingston's YouTube channel. We will have a formal question and answer period as part of this session. You're welcome to ask questions throughout, but just keep in mind that we're going to save them and answer them all towards the end of the presentations. So this is how you can ask questions. You can ask a question in writing by typing in the Q&A area. So if you look towards the bottom of your screen in Zoom, you'll see a little icon with 2 speech bubbles that says Q&A. You can type in your questions there. Just keep in mind that your name and your question will be visible to participants, and then we will read it out and recognize you by name. If you would like to ask a question verbally or offer other comments, you can do that online through Zoom by clicking the raise hand function. Or if you're calling in, please press *9 to use the raise hand function. And then what we'll do is we will turn on your microphones. So even though the chat is available, and Robbie, you did drop in a comment for us, please remember to help us gather all of your feedback to use that Q&A tool. And if you have any technical questions about Zoom or yes, mostly about Zoom, just use the chat for that, and that way we can keep the conversations going. Up on the screen right now are our guidelines for participation, and these are part of our public engagement framework. These guidelines were developed alongside residents, and it helps everyone here, staff and residents, make the most of our time together. Going to give everyone a moment to read through the guidelines for participation. If you have any questions or concerns, please use the raise hand function so that we know and we can talk about those. So it looks like no one has any questions about the guidelines for participation. And I do see a couple of new attendees that have joined us within Zoom. There were 8 of you to participate by Zoom tonight, and there are 6 of you that have joined us. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to Patricia Sharp and the rest of the project team.
Great, thanks, Jen. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank you for joining us tonight and also for trying out this format, Zoom, for public consultation. This evening, we're going to present the plans for the proposed improvements to 2 playgrounds in Rideau Heights. The first playground is at Star Reed Park, and the other is at Markers Acres Park. My name's Patricia Sharp, and I am the project manager for the projects. I'm with the Parks and Shoreline Department in the city's engineering services. And joining me tonight are Neil Ensworth, who's the manager of Parks and Shoreline Engineering Services. And there he is. And Danielle Dibbets. She is leading the team from Wentworth Landscapes. They are the landscape architect that the city has hired to do the playground designs. I would also like to mention that your district councillor, Mary Rita Holland, is in attendance. Danielle will be presenting the proposed plans to you, but first I'd like to provide you with a bit of context. Next slide, please, Jen. This is a map of where the parks are located. They are both outlined in red, and as I've said previously, they're both in the Rideau Heights neighborhood. They're situated between Division and Montreal Streets, south of the 401 and north of John Counter Boulevard. Markers Acres, which is in the upper center of your screen, is on the corner of Conacher and Sutherland Drives. And Star Reed Park is the smaller park in the lower right, and it's located at Drennan and Ford Streets. Next slide, please. We'll start with Star Reed Park. Here on the right side of the screen is an aerial overview of the park, and the playground area is circled in red. Then on the left side, I have an enlargement of the existing playground area. And this is the area where the work will occur. The funding that we have is for playground replacements. It's not slated for overall park improvements. And the construction budget for the playground improvements at Star Reed is about $150,000. And we expect that construction will occur this coming summer and fall. Next slide, please. For Markers Acres, on the left side is an aerial view of Markers Acres with the play area circled in red, and the enlargement of the play area is on the right side of the screen. In this slide, you can really see that the existing play equipment are physically separated, being on 4 separate safety surfaces. So one of the objectives of this improvement project is to locate all of the equipment on a single pad of safety surfacing. And that can be accessed by an accessible path, which would also connect the existing shade shelter that you can see in the aerial. Similarly, as I said previously, the funding that we have is for the playground replacements, and the construction budget here is about $125,000 at Markers Acres. And again, we expect construction to occur during the summer and fall. I will now hand it over to Danielle from Wentworth Landscapes. She'll walk you through the proposed plans for the playgrounds. And once she's done, we can answer any questions that you may have. There'll also be a couple of quick polls during the session, so please stay on with us and participate in the polls. Thank you. Danielle.
Thank you, Patricia, for the introduction, and thank you participants for joining us this evening to hear about both the Star Reed and Markers Acres Park proposed playground improvements. Tonight we will present 2 conceptual site layouts and the proposed playground options for each park. Tonight we will start with Star Reed Park. Next slide, please. Concept A, as shown here, is organic in shape and feel, with 1 entry point into the park from Ford Street. The proposed accessible asphalt pathway leads you into the proposed playground area. At the end of the pathway, there is a concrete paved area that has 2 benches, one with concrete curbing for accessible seating. To the north of the concrete paved area is the playground. The proposed playground area is to include a spinner toy or spring toy, a new double bay swing set, and a new playground structure. I will outline the options for the play structure after a review of concept B. And the existing playground equipment areas located outside of the new playground will be restored to open lawn space. Next slide. The conceptual B layout for Star Reed Park, as shown here, features a more linear design than the last concept, with the same entry point as the previous concept into the park from Forge Street. The proposed accessible asphalt pathway leads you straight into the playground area. There is a double bench concrete pad to the north of the pathway, which includes concrete curbing for accessible seating. The playground area is located at the end of the pathway and is oriented north to south, top to bottom of the screen. The proposed playground is to include a spinner toy or spring toy, a new single bay swing set, the existing single bay arch swing relocated with a new swing seat, and a new playground structure, which I will outline here shortly. Again, the existing playground equipment areas located throughout the remainder of the site will be restored to open lawn space. Both conceptual site layouts include a playground structure. I will now outline the two play equipment options. Next slide. Option A is a play equipment structure that includes a multi-level platform play experience with a variety of different play elements. The photos on the slide provide you with examples of these play components. The components include motion play elements consisting of a double swoosh slide and a gyro twister, sensory play panels on both the ground and upper levels of the play structure, including a marble panel, gear panel, storefront, and periscope panel. There is a transfer station and various climbing opportunities, including a logo climber and a sunbeam climber. Next slide. Along with this playground structure, you have the option to include either a saddle spinner or a spring toy as shown on this slide. Next slide. Option B for play equipment is a structure that is also a multi-level platform play experience, but includes some different elements. The motion play elements consist of a double scoop slide and incline floating pods, sensory play panels again on both the ground and upper levels of the play structure, including a garden fairy game panel, play store panel, there's a double level play counter, and a mini race car panel. A transfer station is provided and various climbing opportunities in this concept show a handhold climber and a deck ladder. Next slide. With this playground structure option, you will also get the option to include either the spinner toy or a spring toy as shown here. The review of those two concept layouts and playground options concludes the presentation for Star Reed Park. We will now conduct two polls to get an understanding of which concept and play structure is preferred by the community. Our first poll is between the site layout concepts. So we'd like you to vote on whether you prefer concept A, the more organic feeling shape, or the more linear concept, which is concept B.
So hi everyone, this is Jen and I will guide you through the Zoom quick poll if you haven't participated before. So it is popped up on your screen and you can click on the tab at the top to move it around your screen if you need to be able to see those two playground options that Danielle described. When you're done, I will end the polling and then share the results with everyone. This poll is anonymous and it is the same one that is shared on Get Involved Kingston. So it looks like half of you have voted Oh dear, Tom, you've lost the poll. I don't believe, okay, thank you. Thank you for letting us know that you would like to vote for B. Okay, thanks everyone for participating. Going to end the polling, and then I'm going to actually, Tom, you know what I can do is I'm able to relaunch the polling. So this will give you an opportunity to vote again. So Tom, if you don't mind, that would be great. And we appreciate everyone's patience and sense of adventure as we test out all these new tools in an online format. So everyone, if you don't mind voting again, then I will be able to end the polling and then share the results with you. Okay, thanks everyone for taking part. So what I'm doing right now is I'm sharing the poll results with you. You are still encouraged to complete the same poll on Get Involved Kingston, but this is just a fun way for us to make it a little bit more interactive for you. Okay, so we're going to do, and oh, actually I had included 2 questions in this one. So again, you had the option to let us know which of the preferred play equipment that you would like to see in Star Reed Park. Danielle, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Jen. I just wanted to remind everyone that questions for both parks will be answered at the end of the presentation. We will now review the concepts and playground options for Markers Acres Park. Site layout concept A, as shown here, features a more linear concept with one entry point into the park from Sutherland Drive. The proposed accessible asphalt pathway will lead users into the playground area from the community pathway across Sutherland Drive, as well as the sidewalk along Sutherland Drive. At the end of the pathway, there is a concrete paved area that has 2 benches with concrete curbing for accessible seating. The pathway will also connect to the existing shade structure, which is to remain in place. To the north of the pathway and seating area is the proposed playground area. The proposed playground area is to include a double bay swing set and a new playground structure. The existing playground equipment areas located throughout the rest of the site will be restored to open lawn space. Next slide. The play structure option for site layout concept A is a structure that includes a multi-level platform play experience with motion play elements consisting of a slide winder, a double swirl slide, and lolly ladder pods. Sensory play panels on both the ground and upper levels of the play structure include a driver panel, storefront panel, tracing panel, and a navigator reach panel. A transfer station is provided and climbing opportunities, including a logo climber and a jig-jag climber. The photos on the slide provide you with examples of these play components. Next slide. Along with the play structure in this site layout concept, there is a double bay swing set to include an accessible swing, a toddler swing, and a couple of belt swings, which provide swinging options for all ages. Next slide. Markers Acres site layout concept B, as shown here, is more organic in shape and feel, with an accessible asphalt pathway that curves to the playground area and through the park from Sutherland Drive to the existing pathway on the other side. There is a double bench concrete pad located on the south side of the pathway which includes concrete curbing for accessible seating. In this concept, the pathway will also connect to the existing shade structure, which is to remain in place. The proposed playground area, located to the north of the pathway, in this concept is proposed to include a spinner toy or spring toy, a double bay swing set, and a play structure. Again, the existing play equipment areas throughout the rest of the site will be restored to open lawn. Next slide. The play structure for site layout concept B is a structure that is a multi-level platform play experience, including motion play elements of 2 open star glide slides. There are sensory play panels on both the ground and upper levels of the play structure, including an ice cream shop panel, Little Monsters numbers, and a maze wheel, a transfer station, and climbing opportunities, including stepping pod climber, pipe ladder, and crescent moon climber. Next slide. Along with this play structure, you have the option to include either the spinner toy or a spring toy. Next slide. As well as a double bay swing set, which will include an accessible swing, a toddler swing, and a couple of belt swings. Now we will complete another poll to get some feedback on which concept and play structure the community prefers. So option A is the more linear concept with the green play structure, and option B is the more organic shaped layout with a smaller structure but including a spinner or spring toy.
Hi everyone, it's Jen again. So I have launched the polling. You can click on the top of that poll tab so that you can move that, that pop-up window around so that you can see both option A and option B. This poll is anonymous and the questions are the same as they are on the Get Involved Kingston survey, and we encourage you to complete both. And it looks like everyone has completed the poll. So thank you very much for participating. And it looks like most people that have attended here tonight prefer option A. From here, I'm going to open up the Q&A, and our project team is standing by to take your questions. So a refresher on how you can ask questions tonight. So at the bottom of your screen, if you would like to ask a question in writing, you can click on the little speech bubbles with the letters Q&A, and you can type in your question. If you would like to offer feedback or ask a question verbally, you can use the raise hand function, and then we'll turn on your microphone. And it doesn't look like anybody has joined us by phone tonight. So we have one question in so far, and this question is from Chris, and they ask, is there a way to have the path go all the way around through option A? Is there a member of the project team that would like to take this one?
Yes, I can take it. Sorry, can I have clarification? Because I think I heard have the path go all the way around, but I'm really understanding that I think they want the path to go from the sidewalk through to the path in the park as in option B.
So Chris, what I'm going to do, if you are comfortable, and use your raise hand to consent to this, is I'm going to turn on your microphone because sometimes that's the easier way to get your questions across. So go ahead, Chris.
Yes, how about if I think I can just clarify that that we can consider the path that we have in option B can be applied to option A. What we'll be doing is taking all the feedback and we'll be coming up with a evolved and refined concept based on all the feedback that we received. So the final concept may look a bit like option A and it may look a bit like option B.
Oh,
If that was
I
helpful.
muted myself. Chris, does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Erin, I see that you had the same question. Yeah, thank you for participating. So Robbie, I see that you have your hand raised. I'm going to unmute you. Go ahead, Robbie. Thank you. Robbie, you should be unmuted. You're welcome to ask your question. Okay, Robbie, you may be having a couple of technical difficulties, so maybe what I'll get you to do is just type in your question and we'll move along to the questions that are in the Q&A. And Erin, they have a comment.
Hi,
and
I
they...
had it switched on the wrong microphone.
Oh, it happens to the best of us. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Robbie.
Okay, so I was just curious, and I'm sorry if I'm getting ahead of things, if I am, what type of surface is the play area going to be on? Is it going to be like, from what I understand in the presentation, it's going to be some sort of a soft rubber, kind of like Lake Ontario Park surface, or is it going to be sand or mulch or something else?
I can answer that one. It's not going to be a soft rubber surface like at Lake Ontario Park. That is rubber because it's adjacent to a splash pad. For this park, we're proposing a wood fiber surface, which is similar to what you've said as mulch, only it's engineered specifically for playgrounds in that it has to meet safety standards that are dictated by the CSA. And it's about 1 foot deep is what we will have there. Is that good for your answer?
Okay, so we have a question from Councillor Holland,
Sorry.
and I'm going to
Jen,
back. Oh, yes, Robbie.
hi. No, this is Neil speaking.
Oh, hi, Neil. Sorry. Everybody's voices sound similar this evening.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can I just clarify that the first two questions related to having the pathway extend through the playground design, that those were related to Star Reed Park?
No, they were for the second part, Myers or whatever.
Yeah, Markers Acres. I believe I understood that, that they were for Markers Acres Park, because that pathway in option A did not extend all the way through. So I just wanted to clarify that. We know what you want now. Thanks.
Yes, and when I answered that question, I was understanding it to be Markers Acres Park. So I didn't actually respond as if I was responding to Star Reed to clarify that.
Thanks, Neil and Patricia. So as we go along through the Q&A this evening, as you type in your Q&A, can you just put either Star Reed or Markers Acres at the beginning of your question so that we can make sure that we give you the correct information? So Councillor Holland, she has joined us this evening and she's asking about the benches in Star Reed and explaining where they face. So just give me a moment and I am going to back up to that slide. But in the meantime, Patricia and the project team, maybe you can talk a little bit about the benches at Star Reed.
Yes, I can. So I'm currently looking at concept A for Star Reed, where there are 2 benches. I'll just keep talking until you get there. 2 benches on a concrete surface. That one of them is facing the playground. They're both facing the playground, but one has their back to Ford Street and the other bench is perpendicular to Ford Street with the back still facing the playground, but the back is facing south. In concept B, so the next slide, the benches are side by each and they are facing the play. You would face the playground when you sit on them so that you can watch your children play if you were a parent. And your back would be against Ford Street.
So Councillor Holland, I see that you have your hand up. I'm going to turn on your microphone. Go ahead, Councillor Holland.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, so yeah, that's the second time around when I originally saw those, I thought that was exactly that they were facing in towards the park. The first time around, I wasn't so sure, but in either case, that entryway is very appealing. And I just also wanted to say that I messed up when I tried to vote on Markers Acres, and so so the option A, the idea that has been put forward by others seems really interesting with the pathway extending all the way through, but it seemed to be a clear majority for the equipment in option A for Markers Acres. And I just wanted to let you know I meant to choose that option and somehow I failed to vote properly. So hopefully that doesn't happen again when I'm in a more challenging situation. Thank you very much for everything.
Thank you, Councillor Holland. Patricia, Neil, and Danielle, is it helpful if I go to those slides about the pathway in Markers Acres? Because it seems like there's some questions about that pathway alignment.
Yes, that would be helpful. Thanks, Jen.
This is a good slide here, Jen. I think we'll see an opportunity to either potentially push the pathway all the way through, and we can turn the pathway or bias it a little bit towards the south, towards the connections in the community. The other design we explored, turning it towards the north to up towards people who would be walking down from Sutherland Drive. But yeah, this is a nice candidate to push that path right through to the granular pathway.
So I do not see any questions that have been added into the Q&A, and I don't see anybody who has their hands raised. Does the project team want to add anything else? Any comments that have been received so far about this project? Or anybody who's attending as a resident, do you have any other feedback that you would like to share with the project team?
Forgive me, Patricia, if we've already explained this, but have we described when the construction of this would occur?
Yes, we talked about, when I did the introduction, I'll just reiterate it because in case someone, construction for both Star Reed and Markers Acres is expected to occur this summer and into the fall, with completion before the end of the year. There might be some minor bits and pieces that might happen in the spring, but that would just be because of inclement weather. Jen, I have one other thing to say, and it's about getting updates for the park, because we would like to give feedback from what we've heard and from what we collect from the Get Involved page over the next 3 weeks. And then we would like to provide feedback. However, in order to get people's contact info to do that feedback, you have to either email me directly or click the subscribe button on the Get Involved page. So it's, and then I think Jen has a slide that she can show in the next that has my email address on it. Thank you.
Of course. We had a few more questions pop into the Q&A. Tom has a question and he's wondering what happens to the old play equipment.
It's lead-filled. It's not safe for use after it's removed and disassembled.
Thank you, Tom, for that question. And Aaron, they've added a comment from from their 6-year-old son. And they say they chose option A for both Star Reed and Markers Acres, and they say that I would play there. So that's great feedback. We like to hear from the kiddos who actually will be playing on the equipment. Robbie, I see that you have your hand up, and I recall, Chris, you had your hand up before. So if there's anything that you would like to add to the conversation, it would be great to hear from you. Robbie, I'm going to unmute you.
Hello. Yeah, my question I get would be for Star Reed, as we like to refer to it in the neighborhood as the shady park, where we have shade around the play equipment. Will the trees be removed in this process? My hopes would be not, because it can get pretty hot in some of those hot summer days in the afternoons when the kids are out playing there.
No, the intent is not to remove the trees. We very specifically have worked around the trees to locate the playground in both configurations. Yes, we're aiming to keep the trees specifically because they provide really nice shade in those parks.
So I am not seeing any other questions in the Q&A or any more raised hands from the people who have joined us this evening. So I am going to wrap up for the evening so that everybody can get on with enjoying the little bit of sunshine that's left today. So thank you again on behalf of the city for joining us this evening and for bringing us into your homes and using this new technology with us when we can't join in person. Normally we would pop up in your neighborhood park, but we're hoping that this is a good alternative to receive your feedback. There is a couple of things that we're hoping that you can help us out with this evening before we leave. So I'm going to launch a poll. So this is a poll that's not about the playground equipment, but it's about your experience with the technology this evening. And this helps us improve the way that we connect with you virtually. Going to give everyone a few moments to complete that. The Get Involved survey for both projects is now live. So please visit Get Involved Kingston. You can find it through, sorry, I should have this memorized, getinvolved.cityofkingston.ca, and those two projects will be on the front page. Please sign up to receive project updates, and you'll get information from Patricia and the project team about the reporting back and also construction timelines. And this gives us permission to reach out and connect with you by email. You can send email comments to Patricia directly at psharp@cityofkingston.ca. And if you were a little late joining us this evening or would like to re-watch the session, please go to the City of Kingston's YouTube page and navigate over to public engagement, where the closed caption of this session has been saved for you. And we will also add it to the project page. So I see that everyone has voted, and thank you again for taking time to join us this evening. And that's all I have. Is there any closing remarks from the project team before we sign off? No, everyone's shaking their heads.
Thank you.
And I see a couple of extra questions and comments in the Q&A about the presentation, and we truly do appreciate those. So again, on behalf of the city, thank you for joining us this evening.